Should I do the clap thing? Do you guys like the clap thing? Clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Yay. Okay, I got it. So now that we've all enjoyed our meal, I'd like to introduce the students from Freedom U. I'm sure you've gotten to meet a few of them throughout the day, but we wanted to give them a space so they could share their experiences, especially since organizing in the South is unlike organizing in other parts of the country, and it's, I don't want to say it's new, but it's like a relatively, I would say it's a relatively new thing, right? So without further ado, I'm gonna give the speakers the space to speak about this great organization. Hi, everybody. Okay, so hi, my name is Melissa Rivas-Triana. I'm from Aguascalientes, Mexico. Hidrocálidos in the house? No, just me. Well, I'm an undocumented student leader at Freedom University. Okay, well, we can, when they speak, they can do stuff. So I guess I'll go ahead and start. First of all, I want to thank everybody for being here. And I also want to thank Dartmouth CAIR and all the people here and elsewhere that made our presence here possible. Smith, Hampshire, Bard, and now here we are at Dartmouth. So it's been a long week, but we're so happy to be here. So first off, the talk today will be organized in 3 main sections. First, I'll provide some national context on undocumented student access to higher education, specifically shedding light on Georgia's recent anti-immigration legislation and educational bans against undocumented students. And I'll also discuss grassroots resistance to these discriminatory policies and highlight the formation and current work of Freedom University. And I'll also discuss Freedom University's pedagogical model of education for liberation and education for action, and its roots in the Southern Freedom School tradition. And Jacqueline will highlight the civil disobedience and direct actions, and talk about intergenerational connections and inspirations of the movements of the 1960s and the current undocumented student movement in Georgia. So let's get started. Okay, so does everybody, I'm pretty sure, I'm like fairly confident, everybody knows what undocumented immigrants are, right? Does nobody not? Perfect. We're all on the same page. Okay, so in the U.S., there's estimated to be 11.2 million undocumented immigrants. 2.1 million of those who are college-age young people and would be eligible for the Federal DREAM Act. Each year, 65,000 undocumented students graduate from high school, and in Georgia, those numbers are estimated to be around 6,000. Undocumented students in general face enormous structural and social barriers to higher education. Number one would be preparation. The severe lack of mentoring in high school, and just general knowledge about how to apply to college as an undocumented student. Limited information about eligibility of where we can apply, and few colleges make their policies on undocumented students public or transparent. Number two would be economic barriers. Undocumented students overwhelmingly come from low-income communities, and yet we're prohibited from all forms of federal financial aid, including Pell Grants, federal work study, and federal loans. And number three, the very real fear of sharing detailed information about legal status of ourselves and our family members when applying to college. As we all know, we have to fill out hundreds of forms, and that can be very, very scary for undocumented students. So in 1982, the Supreme Court ruled in Plyler v. Doe that all students are guaranteed a K through 12 public education regardless of their immigration status. But that decision did not extend to higher education. Thus, it has been up to the states to determine policies regarding undocumented students' access to public higher education. And to date, 16 states have passed legislation to allow undocumented students to qualify for in-state tuition rates. Some of those including Georgia, California, Utah, and New York. A lot of states where maybe a lot of students are from. Sorry, did I say Georgia?
Yes.
I meant California. It's a state. And 5 states offer in-state tuition by decisions by their state board of education. And all other states require undocumented students, even if they otherwise meet state residency requirements, to pay out-of-state tuition, which on average is about 61% higher than in-state tuition. And only 3 states in the nation have an admissions ban in higher education. Can anyone guess which region they're located in?
South.
Yes! That would be Alabama, South Carolina, and of course, Georgia. So yeah, that takes us into Georgia. And on March 29th of 2010, a college student by the name of Jessica Coloto was pulled over for impeding the flow of traffic, which is she actually just failed to turn on her blinker when going into a parking spot. And she was stopped by campus police, and she was asked for her license, and she didn't have one, so she was taken into custody. And while in custody, she admitted that she was undocumented. And then on May 5th, she was put into deportation proceedings to send her back to Mexico. Because of this, a lot of students at Kennesaw State, where she was, and teachers, presidents, they organized and they asked for petitions, and she was actually granted a 1-year deferral of her deportation so she could complete her senior year. But this specific case surged a whole lot of anti-immigrant policies in Georgia, and it's actually what caused the Board of Regents to start thinking about how many undocumented students were actually in the university system of Georgia. Also, it also caused a lot of students to organize in response to those anti-immigrant legislations. So this is the Georgia Board of Regents. I think the picture really speaks for itself, that this is the deciding body of the university system of Georgia. So on October 13th of 2010, on the 50th anniversary of the desegregation of the University of Georgia, the Georgia Board of Regents passed Policy 4.1.6, which bans undocumented youth from the state's top 5 public institutions, and Policy 4.3.4, which excludes them from in-state tuition rates. On the same day that Policy 4.1.6 was passed, the Residency Verification Committee, which was established by the board several months before, presented the results of its investigation of undocumented students enrolled in the university system of Georgia. The committee was charged with the task of investigating 3 concerns, and this is a quote from the board, I'm not exaggerating on this language. So the concerns were, 1, that the university system was being swamped by thousands of undocumented students. 2, that Georgia taxpayers were subsidizing the education of these students through in-state tuition. And 3, that undocumented students were taking seats away from academically qualified Georgians. Yeah, okay. The results of this investigation, as well as admissions by the committee chair, proved these concerns to be unfounded. First, the committee found that of the 310,000 students enrolled in the University System of Georgia in the fall of 2010, only 501 students, approximately 0.16% of all the enrolled students, were undocumented. Moreover, in the top 5 public universities, only 27 students were enrolled, less than 100% of the student body. Thus, the concern that the system was being swamped by thousands of undocumented students is a gross exaggeration. Second, the committee found that of all the 501 undocumented students, they found that all 501 undocumented students were paying out-of-state tuition rates. So in other words, by paying out-of-state tuition, these 501 undocumented students were actually subsidizing the education of their documented peers whom they had gone through grade school with. A recent study also found that in 2012, undocumented immigrants alone paid more than $352 million in state and local taxes, yet they received very few of the public benefits. The third concern, that undocumented students take away seats from academically qualified Georgians, already implies the criminality of undocumented students who take away things from others, and that undocumented students cannot be academically qualified. With these policies, Georgia has essentially ushered in a new era of educational segregation in the South, where exclusion to admissions is again based on racial fears and social status, not academic merits. It is telling me that the same 5 public universities in Georgia that are banning undocumented students today are also the same 5 universities that banned African Americans admissions in the 1960s. So, that was the scary part of the story. But, in response to the ban, an interracial coalition of undocumented students began organizing. So then, along with their immigrant rights activists in Athens, Georgia, reached out to 4 professors in the University of Georgia, who are here today. Shout out. And they tried to think, what can we do in response to this ban? And students told them, do what you do best, teach us. So, thus came Freedom U. And the name Freedom University was chosen for 2 very important reasons. To reflect the legacy of Southern Freedom Schools in prioritizing education for liberation, not simply accreditation, and because students realized that Freedom University also has a great acronym that never gets old. FU Georgia. Yeah. So Freedom University. Okay, so Freedom University is now in its 5th year, and it continues to serve as a tuition-free, modern-day freedom school that provides college-level courses, college application and scholarship assistance, and leadership development for undocumented students in Georgia. Today, our classes are filled with 55 students who are generally ages 16 to 24, and who were brought to the United States as children, sometimes infants, from countries such as Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Uruguay, South Korea, Ghana, and Jamaica. This semester, we have 3 classes. We have public speaking and debate, meditation, and self-care. And meditation and self-care, that's one class, sorry. And college preparation, which includes SAT prep, ACT prep, college application, and addition help. So one way to tackle the discrimination in higher education is by directly trying to undercut the school-to-prison / school-to-detention pipeline and replacing it with a school-to-college pipeline. And one way we do this is with college tours, such as the one we're on today. And Freedom University is actually really successful in what it does. 1 out of 5 students that goes to Freedom University actually leaves with a full merit-based scholarship to colleges out of state. Colleges such as Dartmouth, Syracuse, Hampshire, Tougaloo, and Berea College. And these also schools that don't discriminate against undocumented students and meet their full financial need for those who are academically qualified. So students who come to Freedom University do not come to earn college credits. They come because they want to learn, and because it is a safe space for undocumented students. We provide education for liberation, not accreditation. And this liberatory aspect of education is rooted in our pedagogical model that is based on a hybrid of agrarian popular education with the Southern Freedom School tradition. So the free and popular education model stresses that students they have So the free and educational model allows students to reclaim their sense of community and discover how to participate in the transformation of their own world. And it's also based on the Southern Freedom School tradition, specifically SNCC and the Mississippi Freedom Summer of 1964, where students from all over the nation joined SNCC students in Mississippi to participate on voter registration drives, community centers, and freedom schools, such as this one. Where they could learn the tools they needed to become local movement leaders in the grassroots community and change their own society from within. And students at Freedom University learn the necessary cognitions and goals that we need to change our own communities. And these 3 goals are recognizing injustice, asserting our rights, and believing that things can change through collective action. And the most important aspect about Freedom University that helps us accomplish these goals of radical liberatory education is the fact that Freedom U is a safe space. Sorry. So for a lot of students at Freedom University, this is the first space where they can actually be open about their undocumented status. And it's not only a safe space for learning, but it's a safe space for cultivating a sense of dignity of who we are as human beings. This is Osvaldo Flores, and I think he's the king of selfies at Freedom U. And when we were actually exhibiting our pictures from the Freedom University photo project, he showed us this picture, which he took, and he actually said, I'm Osvaldo, I'm undocumented, but I'm also gay. So in that safe space, he was able to come out twice to us, which was really amazing experience. Freedom University is also a very much safe space for healing, not only for students, but also for a whole family. This specific slide is from a Mother's Day class this past year. And it was really amazing because we got to learn about Central American mothers who lost their children in the migrant trail. And kind of following from their example, we put pictures up from our own family, people this side of the border, but also on the other side of the border, or wherever students' home is. And we wrote letters to our moms. Yeah, it was a pretty emotional class, honestly. That's my mom right there, actually, on the right side. Yeah, and basically it was a very amazing class because we were able to talk about being undocumented, not only as students but with our parents, and it was a very much space where we got to be open and a space for healing, really. So one of the important things about Freedom University, one of the goals that we learned is critical consciousness. And the critical consciousness we learn through our classes. And we use our own life experiences as sources of knowledge and analysis, so we can identify the root of our injustices and assert our human rights and believe that things can change through collective action. One example of this is through DACA. We are taught to look at all things in our life through a critical lens, DACA being one of them. We are usually taught to be really appreciative of DACA, but if we had a lot of class discussions where we actually talked about that DACA, by only providing students who are eligible with licenses and with work permits, it's essentially causing this whole young generation of students to be funneled into low-wage jobs, but they can't do anything to change that institutionally because they don't have the right to vote and don't have the right to an education. And we've actually seen this before in history, where a whole population of young people could work at low-wage jobs and didn't have any means to change that, and that was called Jim Crow. And another goal is the assertion of rights, and we learn about this through the Human Rights Framework. And the Human Rights Framework is central to our mission and our pedagogy because it is universal, indivisible, independent, and inalienable, and it can't be taken away no matter what arbitrarily born border we were born within, in whatever border we may cross. And the most important, right we learned in the Human Rights Framework is actually Article 26, the right to an education, and I'm actually quoting from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Article 26 says, everyone has the right to education. Education shall be free, at least in the elementary and fundamental stages. Elementary education shall be compulsory. Technical and professional education shall be made generally available, and higher education shall be equally accessible to all on the basis of merit. And finally, the most important goal is the belief that things can change through collective action. And at Freedom University, we use leadership tools and mobilization skills to actually learn about our movement and learn about our history and take it all back and use it so we can change our current situation and change our state. Passing it on to Jack.
Hi everyone, my name is Jacqueline Delgadillo, and this is actually my third year at Freedom U. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the activism. At Freedom U, we're sort of given the tools and knowledge to, create our own movement and sort of revolt against the ban that was placed on us. And one of the ways we do that is, you can see in the picture we're actually singing, and can you guess what we're singing? We're actually singing freedom songs, and one of the ways that we actually go about our movement is we build intersectionality between the Black movement from the 1960s and sort of draw inspiration from that to our movement now. And we've actually met a lot of veterans from the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, Charles Black, a lot of veterans from those times that give us advice and give us inspiration on how to go about this and not to give up. And so this is actually a picture that our executive director, Amiko, took on the right, just sort of showing the comparisons of the movements and sort of hinting towards history repeating itself again. Both students being denied higher education. Yeah. So this was one of the first actions that Freedom U ever did, and the person who's getting arrested is Giovanni Diaz, who is awesome, and he was a hardcore leader there, and still continues to be involved right now. And one of our ways, that we've always tried to go about actions is to really be visual about it. So can anybody Can anybody see what he has on right now? Cap and gown. Why do you guys think that he has a cap and gown on? What do you think it's trying to symbolize? That he got stuck in college. Yeah, that he got stuck not being able to go to college. So that was sort of something that didn't really transfer to people's minds didn't really understand what we were trying to say. A lot of people, when Ioani got out of jail, they were like, oh, congratulations, you just graduated. But no, we were actually doing it for the movement. And this is, I believe, an activist called Lady. And her face says it all right here. Like, this was pre-DACA. Students were putting themselves on the line. And they weren't being afraid of it because they knew they were doing it for the right cause. And this is another picture where students would protest and sit down, usually outside on the street, and still had the caps and gowns on. And this was actually in front of the University of Georgia, still the trend of the cap and gowns, but moving it more towards what we're actually trying to signal at, which is higher education. And this was actually another action that happened where everybody that you see in the picture got arrested. Diana, who is second to left, she's at Smith College right now, but she was 16 at the time, and she sat down to fight for her education. And to her right is Arturo Martinez, who also got arrested to fight for his education. Far right is our executive director, Miko, who had to get arrested as well because Diana was actually 16 years old, so she can't leave her alone. And all the way to the left is Lucino, who is also an awesome activist and who was also at the action. And right there, standing all the way over there, making that face, is actually Reverend Joe Beasley. And essentially he's saying, like, I can't believe I have to do this shit all over again. Because he had to fight for education in his time, and he has to do it now. Or he doesn't have to, but he chose to. And here is Diana again, Arturo, Lucino, and our executive director, Miko. And so one of the things we noticed when we were doing actions was that they weren't really translating to what we wanted to get across, to get across people's minds. So when we did the actions on the street, they would actually, like, people would be confused because they're like, what are you protesting? Like, you're on a crosswalk, you're sitting down, you have caps and gowns. People didn't understand it. So we sat down, we strategized for about a month, and we decided to, okay, what do we want to do to visually convey what is happening in Georgia so people understand it. And we actually decided that we wanted to sit in a classroom that was integrated with undocumented and documented students, which is essentially what we're being banned from. And we chose the University of Georgia. And actually, Sarah, who's sitting right there, who was in charge of getting a building for us, since she goes there. But yeah, so we really wanted to do this visually, so we were like, okay, what signifies migration? What's an image that really, like, puts it out there? And we all said butterflies because it signifies that migration is natural, there's nothing wrong with it, everybody does it, even butterflies. And so my brother and I actually went to our executive director Nico's house and hand cut butterflies for 10 hours and made it happen. And he was actually one of the 9 students who got arrested along with Melissa and Arisbeth. And it was 4 documented students, there's Melissa, 4 documented students and 5 documented ally students who got arrested at that action. And this was actually a picture that we had previously set a goal on. We were like, what do we want the front of the newspaper to look like? And we all agreed, okay, we want the police arresting a butterfly. And that's what we got. And so during this action, we sort of, when we were planning, we planned what our media would be like, and we wanted to control that essentially. So we had lines that nobody else could say more than the 4 lines we agreed on, so that things wouldn't get picked out of context or taken out of context. And it was a really cool experience because I actually got to write too for a lot of newspapers like The Nation and everything and really represent our community. So, and we ended up on the Huffington Post, so we got our goal. And so, one example of the progress that Freedom University has done and continues to do, and sort of gives us hope, is that we actually created a change with a private institution, college institution in Georgia, which was Emory University, who also banned us from college. And it was about a year of working with Freedom at Emory, which is a group that formed there of allies to support undocumented students. And 4 of them, 2 documented students from Emory University and 2 undocumented students from, two documented students from Emory University and 2 undocumented students from Freedom University actually got together. They had talks and meetings with the president of Emory University. The students wrote op-eds and had panels and everything. And one of the students was actually Valentina Garcia, who's sitting over there. Shout out to you. And my brother. And all of this was a result of everybody's hard work and everybody's, I guess, support for us too, because we can't do this alone. We need documented allies. We need documented student allies to work with us to make it happen, to start having conversations. And yeah, like we hope that that's eventually will knock out the other schools too. So thank you.
Hi everyone, is that better? Okay. So now that you guys have gotten a history of Freedom U, we're actually going to do some personal narratives. And I'm going to start it off by talking about my migration to the U.S. My name is Susanna. I am from Colombia. And I first came here when I was 4, then I went back to Colombia, and then I came when I was 5. And I stayed here. So that's how I became undocumented. I passed the time permitted with my visa. And the real reason why we came to the United States was that my dad had gotten fired from a family bank that he worked in, and he was 47 years old. And basically what that means is that you are no longer of use in the Colombian society, as opposed to here where you can go to Publix and you can see senior citizens working. And age is not something that's put against you. So if you're not 20 or younger in Colombia, you are basically worth nothing. So he decided to come to the United States. He started sending us money. And then eventually we all decided to go and join him here in Georgia. I remember that my mom made me choose between, you know those little like robotic dogs that used to be like really small, white? So she made me choose between 2 toys to bring. It was either that dog or a cowboy girl with like blonde, long braids. And I have a visual of waiting outside in the road for a taxi to come with my aunt and the rest of our family. And then in the airport walking with the cowboy girl in one of my hands. In the airplane, I remember seeing the Earth as the globe pictured it in public schools, and I thought that was really cool. And last Sunday was actually the first time that I've traveled on an airplane since 13 years ago. So when the liftoff happened, I started to cry because I've never seen clouds up close or the city of Boston from up top. Growing up in the U.S. was amazing. I remember the big yellow bus that had nothing to do compared to the loyal taxi driver who would take us to school in Colombia. And even now when I go into cars with friends and they have the cologne, some like scent, I don't know what it's called, but it reminds me of the taxi driver who would drive us to school, and he has passed away, so that's a memory of him. But growing up in the U.S. was something that I didn't take for granted. My education, what was given to me, the fact that the police here are actually really serious about what they do, and if you report something, they keep up with what you do, whereas in Colombia, if you get mugged or whatever, your case will never be solved. And here the police actually try to do something about it. So I never took anything for granted, and all throughout my educational career in public school systems, I excelled, and then I got stuck, obviously in high school, due to the colleges not being very visible on their policies, and just not having any mentorship in high school. After that, I joined FU, and I haven't regretted it since. It's empowered me to fight for human rights, which is currently undocumented human rights, but in the future, once these policies are destroyed, I will continue fighting for other people's human rights. And it's something that I take really seriously. I've actually already told my parents that if I get arrested, it's because I'm protesting. Because I'm tired of waiting for migration reform that hasn't happened yet, and I'm not going to let the next generation take control of what's happening. It's something that we need to take charge of now. It's time to give undocumented students their right to an education, which is already inherently ours for being human. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Daniel and I'm really nervous. Okay, I was born in Mexico, but when I came to the United States, I was still in diapers, so you can tell how young I really was. Growing up in the United States, I was never told whether I was documented or not. I was never worried about my legal status or worried that I could get sent back to a country that I don't even remember. Like, the only thing I cared about was working hard, caring for others, and dreaming big. So, I found out, I'm never gonna forget how I found out. My mom used to clean houses for a living, so I would go with her to help her out. And on the way home, we were in an all-stop intersection, which has stop signs all around. And I remember her stopping, and we continued our way. And then a truck out of nowhere came and hit our tail. The car shattered completely and was totaled. And I remember, luckily we were fine, and I told my mom, like, "Mom, call 911. And she just didn't react, she just sat there. And I didn't understand why until the police came and told my mom and was asking for her license, and she had to tell them, I don't have one. And I remember panicking and bawling and not understanding what was going on. But when I saw the policeman take her and handcuff her, I knew something was wrong. Luckily, my uncle had a license and bailed her out before she was hauled for deportation. And she sat me down and told me, basically, a part of me that I didn't know who I was. And all I could think about was how much I blamed her, and I thought, I'm like, this is all her fault that I'm in this position. She's the one that brought me here. I never asked for this. So growing up in high school, I was taught to stay quiet, hide in the shadows, not tell anyone about this part of me that I am. So all of my friends started getting their licenses and started asking me, why are you the only one without one? So I would lie and tell them, oh, I missed too many days of school, so I would show proof and really miss more than 10 days of school just so I can have proof and show them why I don't have a license. And then in high school we also got offered in Spanish class, which I took all 4 years and finished with AP, and we were offered a trip to Spain And I had to come up with an excuse of why I couldn't go or why I couldn't travel outside the country. And my friend offered, she's like, you know what, I'll pay for you. I'll pay for your plane ticket. And so I had to tell her, I'm like, I've known you for such a long time and I couldn't tell you who I am. I'm undocumented. And my high school was predominantly white. So I guess she considered herself an ally and said, oh, don't worry, I love illegals. So I knew I couldn't really open up to anyone, especially people that were close to me. I didn't want them to see me differently. So in high school, I couldn't do extracurricular activities because I was busy working a full-time job and supporting my family. And when college applications started happening, counselors went into your classroom and said, oh, if you have any questions, just come to my office and ask me anything. I remember asking her, and I had DACA at the time, and I said, I have DACA, can I go to college? And she replied, DACA, what's that? And that's like my experience with college and admissions officers, no one knowing their policy on undocumented students, or they even had one. So at the end of senior year, I ended up not applying to a single college because that was complicated enough, and then FAFSA and made it way more difficult. And after I thought I lost all hope and there was no resources for me here in Georgia, I found this group of dreamers and group of people that aren't going to take no for an answer and won't accept the crumbs that Georgia's trying to offer them. And it's the first time I felt like, wow, I really belong here, and I found people that I really want to associate myself with. And that's the reason I'm here in this trip, and looking at colleges that actually want us while Georgia's shutting all their doors in our faces. And I'm really glad I could experience it with you guys. Thank you.
Hey guys, my name is Arisva. I'm originally from Mexico and I arrived when I was 6 years old. I'm going to talk about my experience with Freedom University and activism. I found Freedom University spring of 2014 last year, and wow, time flies by. I remember going in, I was extremely scared. I remember all the students even talking about their experience, like you think it's a setup because people just don't congregate in Georgia. Undocumented, like it's just not, you don't do that. But getting in the space, it was a completely different atmosphere. To have students completely like accept that undocumented identity, that's something that you don't find alone. So when you meet all these students and they're like chanting like undocumented, unafraid, it makes you think about all the words that you've been called: animal, criminal, illegal, and it just kind of washes right off you. To finally accept and embrace what you are, the entirety of who you are, because if it weren't for that, you wouldn't be the person that you are today. Those experiences that you've lived are because of that status, that word. So we tend to have a lot of classes. I think this year we talked about how we had debate team, I forgot, meditation and college prep. But last year we had a human rights class, and in it we read Undocumented by Levi Chomsky. And reading that book changed a lot of our lives, learning about our situation, which you think it's weird, like we don't even know about our own situation because we live very isolated. We tend to stick with our families and the people that we know, and that's it. You know how lonely it is to be undocumented. But reading that book and having that feeling in your chest, feeling that people are calling you inferior, and not being able to defend yourself and explain that feeling, we were able to learn how to do that in that book. And that book was about, I can't seem to memorize it, so I'm just going to say it. It contextualizes being undocumented between a historical trajectory of securing an exploitable labor force and justifying it through race. That's what that is. And having that sentence and being able to tell people and prove it, that was empowering. But we take that knowledge and put it into activism. I remember when we did the April 28th action, when we went up to the President Morehouse of UGA, and we asked if he, as a man and a person, agreed with policy 4.16, which denied us higher education, and he wouldn't even talk to us. That's how bad it is. Progressing forward, I was one of the 9 students who were involved in the civil disobedience on the 54th anniversary of desegregation at UGA. I remember telling my mom that I was gonna come home later that night. She thought it was kind of like the other action where I was waving signs like education, not segregation, we're all human. And I told her goodbye. But that night I didn't get home. So I wrote her a letter explaining why I was doing this, so she wouldn't freak out because I knew she were moms. But the letter goes like this. Mom, if you're reading this, I've been arrested. I know you're going to be so worried, mad, and who knows what. She was the type of person who wanted us to obey, wanted us to keep our heads down, wanted us to be role model citizens. And obviously, getting arrested is not part of that. So I knew she was going to be pissed when I got home. But I tried to explain as well as I could why I was doing this. And I reassured her about telling her that it wouldn't affect my DACA. It was going to be a misdemeanor, which we can get 3 of. I had already asked for work for the day off because I knew I might have stayed the whole night in jail, and I didn't want to be called in the next day. We made sure we talked with the lawyer about every single thing. We were completely prepared. And I made sure that she knew I wasn't doing anything bad. It was just a civil disobedience. But unfortunately, like most of our parents don't really understand the history of the United States and how civil disobediences and sit-ins changed the history of the United States. I also felt like I was running away. I had applied to colleges the fall before, and I was waiting for acceptances. And I felt like I had gotten an amazing opportunity of going on a tour. I went on the same tour last year. And that I was leaving the burden to all the other students, and I didn't want to do that. The civil disobedience also helped us get like attention and resources and help, and it made us be able to let other people know the ridiculousness of not allowing students into a classroom. People are missing from classrooms in Georgia. People that you went like from kindergarten to 12th grade, and that's insane. I made sure I told her that I wasn't going against the things that she taught me, and I was actually exhibiting them. I didn't want to be so selfish to just go off to college and be like, and just leave it all to the rest of the people who fought very hard alongside with me. And I when I went on the tour last year, I finally had this feeling of hope in my chest that, oh my God, I'm going to go to college. I'm visiting these awesome schools. And I wanted to share that with all the other students, not only like in Freeview, but with Georgia. And I knew that during that the civil disobedience was going to help. I told my mom that maybe I'm one of the few brave or crazy people to do this. But seriously, I had nothing to gain. Nothing to lose and everything to gain. I had DACA, and that gave me the chance to be able to do this. I had no excuse to not do it. Those people who got arrested before DACA, they were badass. I have the ability to do that. And I told my mom that I was terrified. I had written that letter days before. And I told her, you know what? I'm scared, Mom. You learn your whole life to avoid the police because they're one step closer to deportation. But I have to do this because my heart is telling me to. And that I hope she understands why I was doing this and that she wasn't too mad when I saw her next. I told her, I love you so much. I'm doing this because I value everything you did for me. She gave up her dreams, her life, her family to give me an opportunity for a better life. She didn't just cross the border and live everything she went through for a better life for nothing. And I ended it by saying, no one is going to take our right for a better life, not even Georgia. Freedom U helped me find my voice, and it helped me fight for other students' lives who don't have a voice. And that's what Freedom U does. We fight for the right of education of students that are perfectly qualified, and students that have dreams. Thank you.
That was a lot of feelings, sorry. I had a question and I was like, Okay, so before we open it up for questions, we wanted to hand off our gift to you guys. And, thank you so much. We have big turtle, little turtles. Or, yeah, big turtle, little turtles. Yes. But yeah, are there any questions that you guys want to ask Freedom U right now? They will also be with us for the rest of the night, so if you don't want to do it in a public space, I know they wouldn't mind like getting those questions person to person, but yes.
Yeah, at Freedom University, students who are not have DACA, how do you guys guarantee their safety since there's, I guess, people out from the outside know what the institution's about, and knowing that undocumented students are in that university, how do you guarantee their safety?
Hi. Yeah. So we actually we come out here on college tours and everything and talk about what Freedom University is, but honestly we never advertise where we meet. That's actually like top secret, which is only shared with the students who apply, and when you get like your email, like that's when we tell you where we're meeting. So no one in Georgia really knows where we meet. Do you guys know where we meet? Exactly. So like here, yes, if there's that fear, but if like we don't put students' lives at risk, and I feel like we're also like, yes, Georgia really sucks and it's really backwards, but it's like slowly progressing. So like as before, like the word illegals was clearly rampant. Like it's moved a little bit forward to where like I don't like we used to get threats from the KKK. We don't do that anymore. Like that doesn't happen anymore. So it's moving forward, and I really don't think any student has ever really felt in danger at Freedom U. Like it's very much a safe space. So yes.
To add to that a little bit, for students who don't have DACA, they can participate or help for the protests in different ways. Like they can do background work, and the people who do have DACA and aren't afraid or are comfortable, is the better phrase, to get arrested as a way of getting publication are the ones that are put in the forefront. But all of this is, we don't force anyone to do it. It's if you want to do it. But we don't want to risk anyone's status here or safety. Yeah. So that's it.
how the U.S. is right now, the U.S. Congress, politics, in terms of comprehensive immigration reform. I mean, for instance, Paul Ryan is the Speaker of the House now, and he's vowed not to do anything with immigration until Obama has left office. That being said, I know that you guys meet on a regular basis to talk about direct action movements and so forth. Along with that, do you guys talk about any possible next steps for how to organize in terms of something along the lines of comprehensive immigration reform? And I guess that does tie into like the direct action, like that's a means of acquiring it. Is there anything else that you guys talk about in terms of like infiltrating the political scene type thing?
So honestly, at Freedom University, we actually try to focus more on the local sphere, I guess, because it like I feel like there is a lot of focus on a national scale, but in like this is actually something that very much affects our very local community. So we actually like most our direct actions, we try to target like local universities. So we try to focus on the local private institutions to try to get students in Georgia to do that. I mean, I know there's a lot of national mobilization for like the national immigration reform, but we at the university try to like focus more on the local scale.
How do you guys do that on the local scale?
By targeting like our local board of regents, doing actions at local schools. In-state tuition in our state. Targeting. Building alliances at our own like state schools and schools that actually ban us. And I mean, Freedom University is like based only in Georgia. It's the only thing in the nation. And with other things trying to start in other states, and there should be. Yeah.
I'm Valentina. I'm also like I guess like Melissa and I are like Freedom U alums. Thankfully, because of the college tour that we had last year, I came to Dartmouth. Dartmouth was my reach school, and here I am. I'm actually at Dartmouth now, so it's like, yay, Dartmouth, yay! But in regards to that, I know Freedom U has done a lot to infiltrate Board of Regents meetings and actually like go up there, cause disruptions, let them know that we are here, we won't be silenced, we will be heard. Many occasions. We've talked to presidents at UGA, we've talked to presidents at Emory. So in a sense, we are focusing locally, like Freedom UIs, we do focus locally, but it's heard nationally. We do get covered by the news, we do get covered by the media with our actions locally, and that starts and incites and sparks awareness nationally also about the policies that are going on in Georgia and how discriminatory, how segregationist it is. So even though Freedom U has been doing local movements, local strategies, it's causing a ripple effect across America.
Right. And if I could just add to that, with our giant win at Emory this past year, where it transparently accepts undocumented students and provides need-based financial aid to those who qualify, that's not just for Georgia students, that's for any undocumented student who would apply and get in. So, like, the work that we're doing isn't only benefiting Georgia students, it is benefiting students around the nation, I believe.
I was just going to add something really quick. I think you asked something about like what drives you in a way, and I think I remember this from your first day of class. Like whereas as student boards, we aim to be sustainable and like to be in existence until we can. Freedom U, tell me if I'm wrong, but I remember you telling me this. Freedom U aims to not exist, right? Because it's trying to solve this issue in the fastest way that it can. And I think that motivates all the students, all the alums, in our endeavors and everything. Are there any other questions we can answer? No? Okay. The next workshop is back in Fahey, where we were, so over the river and through the woods, right? You can help us by throwing away plates and all the trash that you can. We'll go ahead and start heading over there and preparing for sort of like our culminating, direct experience. Actually, if you give me one